What up, guys? This is
Cheevo, guys!
back here again with another video. Today, we're going to be doing a graphics comparison on Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, comparing current gen to next gen. I'm going to be comparing the best version of a current gen Xbox, the Xbox One X, to the best version of a next gen Xbox, the Xbox Series X. Now, unfortunately, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is one of the few titles that does not support smart delivery, meaning that if you bought the current gen version and you end up buying a next gen console, let's say Xbox Series X or S, you would end up having to repurchase it. Unfortunately, that is unless you bought the cross-gen bundle for $69.99. However, I suppose you're not totally out of luck because luckily Xbox has 100% backwards compatibility with Xbox One, aside from Kinect games, meaning that if you did purchase the current gen of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, you will be able to play it. You're just not playing the optimized for Series X or S version. You would be playing the Xbox One version, but via backwards compatibility. So basically what we're doing here, guys, is we're comparing the next gen version of the game to the current gen version of the game. Both of these are running in 4K. The next gen version runs at 60 frames per second. However, the current gen version only runs at 30 frames per second. Not only is it really fluid because it's running at 60 frames per second, but you're going to notice a lot better lighting on the next gen version. This is because Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is one of the few titles that supports ray tracing at launch. So you can run this game at 4K 60 frames per second with HDR and ray tracing. This easily makes this one of the best looking games on the Xbox Series X at launch. If you haven't already, make sure that you go to your YouTube media player settings and that you switch it to 4K 60 frames per second. Of course, you're going to have a 4K device to have this option. But if you really want to appreciate this graphics comparison, I definitely recommend watching this in 4K. If you want to see what the next gen graphics look like in long form, I just posted 4K 60 FPS gameplay of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, the first 15 minutes of the game. Now, this next generation of consoles pretty much comes down to the fact that you need a 4K TV in order to be able to see the benefits of the next generation. If you're just rocking your Xbox Series X or PS5 on a 1080p TV, you're not going to notice as much of a difference compared to if you were rocking it on a 4K TV. And this is purely because, 4K is nearly 4 times the resolution, so you should be able to see 4 times the detail in the graphics. For instance, try watching this on your phone in a regular 720p or 1080p depending on what your phone supports, and then try watching this YouTube video on your TV in 4K, and you're going to notice a lot more differences in the graphics comparison just because you're able to see, 4 times the detail compared to your phone. So if you decide to invest in the next generation of consoles and get an Xbox Series X, my number one tip for when you get your new console is calibrate the HDR settings on your TV. Running this HDR calibration tool really makes a difference when you're setting up your new TV and new console. If you guys happen to enjoy graphics comparison videos like these, I'll try to have some more on the way. I just uploaded another one for Maneater comparing the optimized for Series S and X version to the current gen regular Xbox One X version. And I found that there wasn't a noticeable difference in cutscene quality. However, there was a huge improvement in regular gameplay graphics just because that is another game that supports ray tracing. That also got bumped up to 60 frames per second. So if you're enjoying this graphics comparison, I highly recommend watching the Maneater one just because that one had significant improvements in terms of gameplay graphics. Right now, I'm trying to focus on uploading graphics comparison videos for the games that support ray tracing. Right now, there are about 10 games that support ray tracing at the launch of the Series X. I'm actually really curious if they're going to end up releasing a optimized for Series S and X update for Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Now, as you can see, similar with Maneater, you're not going to notice a huge improvement in graphics on the cutscenes. I feel like this is because these are pre-rendered versus having them run live in the game engine, but who knows, I can't confirm that for sure. I definitely feel like the gameplay has more significant improvements in terms of gameplay and graphics compared to the cutscenes. For instance, I'm going to show you guys the cutscene at the end of Mission 1. Spoiler alert if you haven't played Mission 1 of the new game. First, let's start off with showing some Xbox One X footage running at 30 frames per second, and then we're going to switch it to the Xbox Series X footage right here running at 60 frames per second. You're going to find that the Series X next gen version is a little more saturated. You can also see a bit more details, better lighting, and better shadows. Personally, I'd actually played the next gen version first, and then I went back to the current gen version, and I was actually surprised how well the Xbox One X version, the current gen version, held up. Even with that being said though, I did notice that I was on the current gen version, and I would 100% contribute that to the ray tracing. Once you've had ray tracing, it's hard to go back. Here's probably the best angle, live side by side. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this graphics comparison video, and keep an eye out for more. Other than that, I'd like to give a huge thank you to all of my Patreon subscribers. We just hit 19 patrons. I'd like to give a special shout out to everybody in the biggest fan club, including Tim G84, AOJ, The Gaspless, Purple Rain 6, Blackbird, and NL the Dude. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe.